Coach Myers had asked me to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts and what it takes to be a champion. And I got a little cheat sheet here. I think one of the things that helps you become a champion is knowing your own strengths. And I actually tend to be better if I can write things down to jot and remember rather than just talking off the cuff sometimes. So I will periodically be glancing down at this stuff. But when he asked me to be a champion, he said, "You're the guy that's won the NCAA championship here." And I'll just give you a little of my background on that. And can anybody guess? Not trying to pat myself or my own school on the back, but if I told you that I won 4 national championships as a player, what decade and what school I would have had to have been in the NCAAs? Okay.
How many decades?
Nope.
Princeton?
Nope. It's a little bit of an off question, because they actually the championships were in Division III. I was at Hobart College, and Hobart in the 1980s won 12, from 1980 to 1991, won 12 consecutive NCAA championships. And I was actually lucky enough to play on 4 and then coach on 4, and then was able to also coach at the University of Virginia for 3 national championships as well. And I will tell you more than again, trying to make this about me, I would tell you that was more about being around really good people and being able to work with one. And the one that I still respect the most was my college coach at the time, this guy Dave Urich, who went on and built the Georgetown program into a real strong program. And his big mantra for us all the time was just play and act like a champion. And that being a champion wasn't something that just happened when you were on the field, when you were at practice, when you got somebody barking at you. Being a champion had to do with the things that Coach Bernlord talked about yesterday, with the Bernhardts, lining that food. I don't know if I ever heard of somebody doing that, but it's those kinds of things where you take care of your life all over the place. Taking care of school, taking care of being a good family person, being a great teammate. Those are the things that to us stood out about play and act like a champion. And reminds me of another coach that's probably my favorite coaching model. I'm a big college basketball fan, and a guy by the name of John Wooden. Anybody know where he coached?
UCLA.
UCLA, right? The UCLA was a team that won a whole bunch of national championships in college basketball. I think maybe the best college basketball coach ever. But when he talked about success, it was the peace of mind that is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do your best to become the best that you're capable of becoming. And what he's saying is get the most out of what you got. To me, that's what a champion is. It's not necessarily that team holding the trophy on Memorial Day. Very often that team has done that, and they have to get there. But you can be a champion by just becoming the best that you're possibly capable of. And the way to get there is to play and act like a champion every day. This year at Loyola, we played into the NCAA quarterfinals. We kind of got hot at the end with a Cinderella team for guys that may have been following a little bit. And I told our team after our last game, we lost to Duke in overtime in the quarterfinals, 10-9. And I thought that in 75 NCAA playoff games as either a coach or a player, that team probably came about the closest I'd ever been around to a team reaching their maximum potential. And to me, that is more of a champion than a team that goes out and is just so much better than everybody else and just blows everybody away and walks away with a championship at the end. And another one of my Coach Urich's favorite sayings was, hard work will beat talent if talent doesn't work hard. And you always need talent to become a champion in a sport. Or at what we're all fighting for at the NCAA level, we want to play on Memorial Day. We want to win a national championship, and it's going to require talent, but it's also going to require a whole lot of other things. Hard work. There's probably every year several teams that go in there. They got enough talent in their locker room to make things happen. But it's how are they going to come together as a team and function all together? And how are they going to get the most out of what they have? And for some teams, it may not be a realistic thing to say we're going to win a national championship this year, or we're going to win a Patriot League or an ACC or a Big Ten championship. Those things may not be in the cards for a team yet. All right, but you can still become a champion by playing and acting like a champion every day. And I talked about Coach Bernlord's talk yesterday. I was thinking about talking here, trying to incorporate some of the things you guys have heard the last couple days. Coach Myers was talking about the Mamba mentality, and that's being a champion every day. Coming out there trying to prove that you're going to be the best that you can be. And one of the captains on a team that I coached at Virginia one year, and it probably applies a lot to you guys now as you're starting to think, I'd love to play in college at some point. Asked him, JJ, what's the biggest difference when he was a freshman? He actually won the championship his freshman and senior year, and he was a guy that was not super highly recruited. We actually recruited him strictly off of a football highlight tape. We had never seen him play lacrosse, and still offered him an opportunity to come to the University of Virginia and play when I was coaching there at the time, and said, what's the biggest difference between high school lacrosse and college lacrosse now that you're a freshman? And guys ask that all the time, and the thing that you're going to hear from a lot of people, oh my God, the game's so much faster. It's the speed, the athletes, that stuff. And he was like, yeah, it is faster. He said, but I'm a good athlete. I can adjust to that. I can do that. The biggest difference to me is I need to bring my A game to practice every single day. When you guys are some of the better athletes at your place, sometimes in high school or lower levels, you don't always have to do that to be good. But if you're going to be a champion, that's what you're going to do. You're going to bring your A game to practice every day. You're going to bring your A game out here after you just had a 3-hour session. You go away for lunch, you come back, that burger's sitting there, or that spinach wrap. You made a good choice there, Gavin. That's probably a little bit lighter, to go on. But I got to get out on the field and now give something. And if you're someone that lives by that Mamba mentality, or that play and act like a champion, in everything that you're doing, you just find a way. And one of the mantras that we picked up on this year as a team was, it's not, if only, but it's in spite of. We were a team that dealt, like everybody this year with a whole bunch of COVID issues, had a lot of, more injuries than we had anticipated to some key players. And you could say, if only he hadn't gotten hurt and he would have been playing, or if only Seth was 6'4" instead of 5'8", if only I could run faster instead of being slow when I play, but instead of focusing on the if onlys that you don't have, it's in spite of, okay? In spite of the fact that I'm slow, what can I do to be an effective player? Can I develop my offhand? Because I would tell you guys that develop that second hand, you right away become a faster player on the field. If you can go to both hands, you just made yourself faster without hiring a speed coach or without doing all the ladders and all that kind of stuff. So what can I do in spite of maybe this lack that we have? What can we do in spite of the fact that this team might have a few guys that are a little bit bigger and stronger and faster? How can we handle that? And by taking that approach, I think you can become a champion, wherever you happen to be. And a couple things that I thought ran consistent through all the teams that I was associated with that actually did win, NCAA titles. Number one was that all roles, while not equal, are vital and they're of the same importance to the team. You might only be playing 2 minutes on game day, but that role is critical, and whether you're the guy that plays 60 minutes a day, or the guy that plays 2, what you bring to the table every day is absolutely vital to that team's success. And how do you apply that to where you are? Well, maybe you're not playing as much as you want, but you can still help your team be a champion, or if you're the guy that's playing the full game, how can you show some appreciation to those guys that come out to practice every day, all right, and give what they've got, but they're not getting the same reward of the playing time that you are. Show a little appreciation to those guys. Another one, if you are one of those guys that's playing a lot, or one of the leaders on the team, it's a captain who's willing to stick his neck out. I know it's difficult at your guys' age to do something that's unpopular, or to call out your friend. If I'm Ryder, and my best friend's playing defense, but he's about to make a bad decision, on something that he's going to do off, and to pull that guy aside and say that's not how we do it. All right, that's not how we become a champion. It's not an easy thing to do. I understand as a 17-year-old male, to call out your peers. But when you have a captain that does that and is willing to keep everybody moving in the right direction, just one guy fully committed can ultimately lead a team to real high success. Having some older guys, who are able to rise above my own personal playing situation. I'm the fourth attacking shit. I'm better than that guy who's the third. I'm bitching in the background, doing all those kinds of things. But if you've got older guys that can ultimately accept those roles and become a leader that way, every team that I've been around that has won a championship has had a couple of those guys that are sort of, wandering in the background, but making things happen for the team. And then a lack of off-field distractions or an ability to handle, and it come down to one of the teams that I coached that won a championship one time. Their whole mantra was nothing gets in the way of lacrosse. Nothing gets in the way of lacrosse. And it doesn't mean, I let school go, or I'm a dickhead to my mom, because I'm saying nothing's going to get in the way of lacrosse. Actually, you're going to take care of those things even better. Because if you're taking care of school, then that's one less distraction you got to worry about, right? If you're being great to your family, there is going to be some positive stuff coming back to you, and it's going to take off. But you just don't allow any of the other little things to get in the way of what your ultimate goal is. And then lastly, it's sort of a feeling of gratitude about your opportunity. And hopefully after what all of us have been through in the last 18 months in this country, and all over the world, you can appreciate the opportunity to stand out here on this field and play. Think about the guys that were a couple of years ahead of you, the high school class of whatever that was, 2020, and they didn't get to play their senior year of high school, and didn't have that opportunity to step out on the field and do those things. But what I'm really saying is, there's a common saying that guys say, be where your feet are, and make the most of the opportunity that you got where you are. And that's how you show some gratitude, by savoring those moments that you got here, and I think when you do that, you start to live in the moment, and you can be really successful that way. I joke with you, I can still remember, I'll get to how old I was, my freshman year on a national championship field. I can still feel how my wooden shaft felt in the rain that day. You just soaked it up, and you savor those sensory experiences while you're going through them, and really appreciate what that's going to mean, and it's going to help you out in the long run. One of the things that they talk about sometimes too is the difference between motivation and inspiration. And to me, motivation is something that'll last a short time, and you need it. Sometimes you need to be motivated. A halftime speech, sometimes can get you out there. But if that's what you're going to have to rely on, to get you going all the time, then you're not going to be a champion at what you're choosing to do. And it has a lot more to do with what I thought Kyle talked about yesterday in terms of the inspiration, just falling in love with what you're doing and being absolutely passionate about it. And so that it doesn't have coach doesn't get us fired up. That's why we're not ready to play today. But that's kind of bullshit. If you're really someone that's a champion, you're drawing on inspiration from the way that you live your life every day and the way that you have a passion for what you're going to go into. All right, and that's, to me, the difference between motivation and inspiration. Or I'll say with the championships, it's not about the ring. It really isn't. I got a bunch of those somewhere, but I'll be honest with you, I really don't know where those rings are. That can motivate you, all right, a little bit. And like I say, there's nothing wrong with getting that short-term spark of motivation, but that's not what's going to carry you in the long run. To me, the inspiration for those great teams was just, and I'll say a word that maybe you guys aren't that comfortable hearing, or guys, college-age guys hearing or using, but love. Loving your teammates. And loving what you're doing, and going through, and not being afraid to share some emotions together with each other. And that can be what will ultimately be really inspiring to you. I just this past weekend, I went and watched a high school game in Connecticut, and after the game was over, I called up a guy that lived in the area that I played with, more than 30 years, and in college, and I go over to his house for dinner and hanging out, and we decided to FaceTime a buddy of ours who had been under a little bit of come under some bad circumstances. He had just had his leg amputated from the shin down, and we call him up, and the second we get on, he's just got this big smile on his face, and he's just real, talking about some of the other people that we played with, and couldn't be happier and excited about it. But to me, that's far more important, than some piece of metal, that you put in a drawer, down the road. It's those kinds of things that inspire you to become a champion every day as you move through. And again, following up on I thought Coach Bernler's talk yesterday hit home in so many ways for a lot of guys. But one of the things I think he was alluding to was the concept of persistence, you know, and just no matter what your circumstances are now, just continuing to plow through that and plow through that. And, you know, maybe I'm not there yet, you know, maybe I'm not able to turn the corner and take that check and get topside and finish now, but I am going to keep going at it, and I'm going to keep going at it and keep going at it till I get there. And it's, you know, I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard, and it's by Calvin Coolidge. He's one of those forgotten presidents that was in between Abe Lincoln and you know, Franklin Roosevelt. You know, there's a bunch of guys in there, probably about 20 presidents that, you know, even if you're a really good history guy, you could probably only name about 7 or 8 of them. You know, but Calvin Coolidge, talking about persistence, said there's nothing in the world that can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. All right, nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. You know, we've seen that on the field, you know, as it applies directly to lacrosse. Genius will not. You know, unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. But persistence and determination alone are omnipotent, right? All powerful. You know? And it's the slogan of press on has always been and always will solve the problems of the human race. Right? So fellas, you know, play and act like a champion, persist, continue to press on, and I think you will end up getting the most out of what you got. But appreciate the few minutes there and giving me your attention. Thank you.
I'm inspired. How about you guys?
Yes,
You guys inspired? Motivated and inspired. I'll say that. Guys, what we're going to do now, and thank you, Coach. That was amazing. Great stuff. Let's pop up. We're going to jump into our stretch lines. We're going to get a stretch going here. We're going to jump right back into this afternoon session. Here we go. Let's do it.